Forspoken released a new trailer showcasing the parkour abilities and narrated by someone that doesn't induce wincing pains while listening, and what's dubbed as Tactics Ogre Reborn's final trailer before its imminent release launched recently. So we'll go over the highlights from these trailers in today's daily gaming news. Welcome back, gamers. Before we get into today's news, if you would do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already to support the channel, and of course, leave any feedback, thoughts, or constructive criticism in the comments below. Now let's get into it. First up, we're going to talk about Forspoken's parkour abilities trailer. I'm going to be sourcing a bit of this from GameSpot's preview that they had with the Forspoken developers, but a lot of this is just my words here. So a new trailer dropped for Forspoken, and surprise surprise, there's not any in-game dialogue, and instead highlights the game's focus on movement and traversal mechanics, which has a narrator dubbing over the trailer and describing things like basic speed boost when running, jumping, or climbing, but also shows gliding through the air or on the surface of water itself. It's clear that the game looks its best when it's in motion, and it's giving the player the tools to enable that fluidity even during combat, as the trailer shows the parkour skills being used to dodge and reposition smoothly during combat experiences. The author for one of GameSpot's previews for Forspoken likened the traversal to something like Marvel's Spider-Man. I think that's more a recent comparison, but not quite as accurate as something like the third-person traversal mechanics in Infamous or Infamous 2 or Infamous was it Second Son, which is the third entry. Even the gameplay looks similar to those Infamous games where you have like magical projectiles essentially firing from your hands over your shoulder, third-person perspective, where Spider-Man did have some gadgets and skills you can deploy, but it was more about the combo melee fighting. The game has always looked visually appealing to me, but I still find myself off-put by what's been shown so far of the story and the narrative so far. And with the lack of any of this in the current trailer, it's not helping to dissuade my fears about that. But we shouldn't have too long to wait until we find out if the game is living up to its pedigree, as January 2023 is when it's currently set to release. Next up, we're going to talk about the final trailer released for Tactics Ogre Reborn. We're looking at information from Gamematsu, which also seems to have sourced to Square Enix themselves. The trailer showcases some of the new voice acting as well as the, of course, updated graphics. And Tactics Ogre Reborn is a remake based off of the 2010 PSP remake Let Us Cling Together, which itself is a remake of the 1995 original Tactics Ogre game, making the original one of the pioneers in the strategy RPG genre that many modern games today try to recreate but fail to flush out and nail what made these originals so great. The story of Tactics Ogre is nothing new, having the player step foot into civil war across an archipelago or set of islands, but its well-written and developed characters is what sets the story apart from others in the genre. And then they have a bunch of key features listed here that we're going to go over briefly. Since it's a remake, they focus a lot on the accessibility, or just making the game more fast and fun to play, not weighed you down with so many menus and whatnot, for instance. So some of the features that they've highlighted here: your choices affect how the story unfolds and even how it ends, with a game system that allows for multiple playthroughs the game and multiple endings, which isn't anything new from the original. Also highlighted is fast pitch tactic battles on three-dimensional battlefields, meaning you can rotate the camera like left to right, and also you have a top-down view I saw from the trailer. The class-wide level management system used in Tactics Ogre Let Us Cling Together has changed a bit though. The theory crafting seems easier, and you'll have endless combinations of classes, equipment, skills, and magic, as they've updated all those for the new game as well. You can enjoy numerous playability improvements, such as a quicker pace of battle, auto-saving, and a complete overhaul of the controls and user interface to make it easier to get into the game than ever, which is, like I was stating, just ease of use features. There's also a focus on the unparalleled details of the characters and backgrounds from the original Tactics Ogre Let Us Cling Together that have been painstakingly recreated in high definition. So they didn't go out and change the art. It looks very similar. If there were changes, I couldn't notice any. It just looks like what you would want from a remake of a game this old. Just cleaning up the visuals, making them look high definition, and not really editing anything. There are cutscenes that are fully voiced in English and Japanese, and all of the music has been re-recorded with live performances. From the trailer, you can hear that at least the English voice cast doesn't seem to be like their A team. It seems passable, but the music really sounds good. And when you've advanced far enough in the game, you'll unlock the World Tarot system, enabling you to travel back into the story with the power of your forces intact. An incredibly useful feature in a game where choices have such huge impact on how the story unfolds. So that sounds terrific. If you're someone who wants to go and get all the endings, this sounds like it'll make it really easy to retry some choices that you may have noticed had impacts in how the story unfolded later. Traveling back isn't limited to the story, however. Chariot Tarot system lets you rewind up to a certain number of moves during battle as well. That sounds a bit like some other modern strategy RPGs I can think of, like Fire Emblem, the most recent one, lets you do that, and probably some others I'm just forgetting at the moment. Of course, you can always rewind the auto saves in a lot of those games. And then they lastly highlight enjoying a wealth of endgame content, such as a 100 level Palace of the Dead. I'm not sure if that was in the original or not. I never beat it, but I did get pretty far. But it's always good to have something extra once you've completed even all the storylines and you have your maxed out characters. It sounds like there'll be an additional challenge waiting for you. And we won't have to wait long, as this game is going to be competing with God of War a bit, as it's released in November 11th of this year on the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Switch, PC, and Steam. And that's all the stories we have for today. Thank you so much for watching the video, and if there was anything I missed or you just want to make some suggestions for the next video, go ahead and drop a comment, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. It helps more than you know. And of course, as always, thanks for watching Game X Affinity.